got an interesting theme for our Quest Wednesday coming up this week, which is infidelity. Infidelity. Kind of curious to hear what your take is on that theme, Ade.
Yeah, sure. I was thinking about it earlier on, and I thought, oh, it's not a word that I use in my day to day. And so I checked the dictionary definition, and it says action or state of being, sorry, action or state of being unfaithful to a spouse or other sexual partner. So this action or state of being unfaithful to a spouse or other sexual partner. And when I reflect on that definition and the word, I think back to growing up actually. So my father had a series of affairs to to children. And so the word is very charged for me because of my experience of being a bystander in that respect. And I suspect it's one of the things that plays out for me in all the relationships where um, I have been, I guess, loyal to my partner. So I think that the trauma from my past really has shaped my relationship to that word and what it means. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind, even though this definition is kind of giving the impression that it's to do with sex, I'm also very conscious of infidelity can also be to do with emotional stuff that's often not talked about. And then the other thing that comes to mind is, being gay by queer, it feels like there's a different relationship to infidelity where, anyway, the story that I kind of make up and based on what I often hear is it being sort of normalized. Like, what's the big deal? This is kind of what we do. I mean, when I first came out, that was the way that it was perceived. There is no such thing as infidelity because no one is ever faithful to the other person. And so when I think about it, there's a lot of pain, trauma, and scars and wounds attached to that word for myself. What about for you?
Yeah, it really stumped me, and I did exactly the same. I went to the definition, like what does it mean, what occurs to me as I started to try to put myself in the perpetrator role, like, okay, because I think we tend to go to the victim, like, oh, where has someone been in, has done that to me? And I found it hard to find an instance where I had cheated, where I had done that. Um, and I think there's one of two reasons for that. One was in lots of the relationships I had, particularly the first one where I really fell in love, we had an agreement that because we were a long way away from each other, we weren't seeing each other for 3 or 4 months at a time. We decided it was okay for us to have sex with other people while we were still in relationship and still committed. And so every time we used to meet, we'd have a lovely time, and I was really in love with this guy. But there would always come the question, so have you slept with anyone? Because it was agreed, it was okay. And for a long time, we both said no, 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 no. And then one time I did have sex with somebody, and the question came, and I was like, oh my God, do I tell the truth? And I thought, well, yeah, because, this is, you haven't broken the agreement. So I said the truth. I said, actually, I did. It was just a bit of fun. And there was no drama around it. It was accepted within that relationship, and so I think at that time there was a lot of conversations, as well as it being a given that people might cheat. I think there was also with some people there was lots of conversations around what kind of relationship are we having. So it's about the rules. I think I've got away with not cheating by not having overt conversations about rules. So it was a get out clause. Well, we haven't, it's like don't what's it? Don't tell. What's the
Don't
old
ask, don't tell. Don't
yeah?
ask,
Don't
don't
ask.
tell.
Yeah, or like the rule for the American Army, like don't. What was that one?
Yeah,
Don't.
don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. So because we didn't ask each other, we could do stuff and not feel guilty about it. So I think there was an absence of transparency in a lot of it. So for me, it kind of comes down to how willing am I to talk through what's okay, what's not okay in my relationships, and then to hold to those things. And I think I've been a bit slippery on that front in order not to cheat. Because I don't want to really think of myself as a cheat. I don't want to, imagine that's the kind of person I am. So yeah, those are just some initial ideas I had.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another interesting Quest Wednesday session, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing how the exploration goes.
Yeah, me too.